All right, let's jump right in. When you think about making money in agriculture, what's the first thing that pops into your head? I'm guessing it's probably fields of corn, big green tractors, the classic farm scene. Well, today, we're going to completely flip that picture on its head. We're going to dig into where the real, lasting wealth in the food economy is actually hiding. And trust me, it's not just buried in the soil.
And this quote, this is basically our roadmap for this whole explainer. It's a really powerful idea, right? That to find the really valuable parts of agribusiness, you have to look past the actual farm. So let's do that. Let's strip away that topsoil and see what we find underneath. We're going to uncover this whole industrial world that, honestly, doesn't really care if it rains or shines.
Okay, so first, let's just establish what most of us see. The common perception. It's that picture we all have in our minds, the one you see in movies and commercials. It's really the foundation of how most people think our food gets to our plates. In that picture, it's all about cultivation. It's completely focused on the soil, totally tied to the seasons, and involves a ton of hard physical labor. Now, don't get me wrong, this work is absolutely critical, but it's also where all the risk and all the unpredictability is concentrated. This familiar scene is just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. But here's the twist. That picture we all know and love, it hides a massive fundamental flaw. Relying only on what you can grow from the ground, it's kind of like betting your entire life savings on a single hand of poker, over and over again, every single year. So yeah, let's talk about that gamble. Let's really break down why a business that's tied so tightly to the land is, by its very nature, so fragile, and what that really means if you're trying to build any kind of lasting wealth. This brings us to a really important idea here, what we're calling the decision-making prison. I mean, just imagine trying to run a business where your profits are completely held hostage by things you have zero control over. A sudden drought, a freak flood, an early frost. Boom, that's the prison. It traps your money, it traps your potential, all in this endless cycle of high risk and, frankly, pretty shaky return. So how do you get out? I mean, that's the multi-million-dollar question, right? If that traditional model is a trap, what's the escape plan? How do you actually build an agricultural business that doesn't just scrape by, but actually thrives? Well, the escape route is all about a major shift in perspective. It means we have to start looking beyond the soil. We need to uncover the massive industrial core that's holding up the entire agricultural system. And this is where the rules of the game totally change. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Look at the contrast. On the left, you've got the old way, a business that's totally at the mercy of the harvest. On the right, the new focus, an industrial operation that is completely independent of the harvest. We're moving from labor-intensive, unpredictable work to high-margin industrial assets that build resilient wealth. It's really the difference between letting the world dictate your success versus actually controlling your own destiny. And that brings us right to the sweet spot. The real money, the real opportunity is in what's called the midstream supply chain. This is that whole network of machinery, technology, and logistics that happens after the crop leaves the farm. It's the part that processes it, stores it, and moves it. It's the absolutely essential and usually invisible link in the chain. So what does this midstream actually consist of? Well, you can really break it down into three main pillars. First, you've got the specialized high-margin machinery, think processors and sorters. Second, the cold chain logistics. This is so important. It's all the refrigerated trucks, the massive cold storage warehouses that keep things fresh. And third, you have these sophisticated data-driven processing plants that optimize every single step. These are the assets we're talking about. Okay, so why is this so much better? What is the infrastructure advantage really? Why isn't this just a different way to play the game, but a fundamentally smarter, more superior one for building real wealth? And here it is. This is the whole ballgame. These assets, the processing facilities, the refrigerated warehouses, the trucking networks, they get paid whether it was a bumper crop or a total disaster. A cold storage facility charges rent for its space, no matter how much rain fell back in May. See? Its profitability is completely disconnected from the farmer's gamble, and that is the source of its incredible power and resilience. This whole approach uncovers what you could call untapped industrial alpha. It's really just a new way of seeing value. Once you stop looking at agribusiness as just, farming, and you start seeing it for what it is, a massive logistics and data operation, you start to spot these incredible opportunities for growth that almost everyone else is missing. It's all about finding that hidden, durable value. So
let's bring this all home. Let's package this up into a new framework, a new mental model you can take with you. You can use this to look at the entire agribusiness landscape and pinpoint where the real sustainable value is actually being created. Okay, so here's your new lens for looking at agribusiness. First, train your eyes to look right past the farm to the supply chain behind it. Second, shift your focus from the labor to the industrial assets. Third, and this is huge, always prioritize models that are built for resilience over ones that are just a seasonal bet. And finally, just burn this into your brain. The true lasting value is in the machinery, the logistics, and the data.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to chew on. Because this way of thinking, it doesn't just apply to farming. So my challenge to you is this. What other industries can you think of that have this glamorous, obvious front door? But behind it, there's this hidden, more powerful, more valuable infrastructure that's actually running the whole show. Keep an eye out for it. You'll start seeing it everywhere.